person there.
Well,
hello guys who is watching. Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching from. You're most welcome to the live stream. It's a happy Sunday. How is everyone doing? Please let us know if you can hear us properly, and also let us know where you're watching us from. Oh, we first wait for people to join in.
Yeah.
Then we can
We're basically talking to ourselves.
Okay, let's wait for people. I know we are really solid. We are really solid by 30 minutes. But we apologize for that. But let's wait on here. Two people. Your phone is much clearer. I'm using a different gadget today.
Hi, everybody. This is a few people. We're not speaking to ourselves anymore.
Oh my God. Hi everyone, who are you watching us from? Can you please hear us? Please let us know in the comments as well, so that we're not really talking to ourselves. UG Connect, remember that guy?
Indeed.
You know him, right?
Yeah, actually.
Hi.
Hi, UG Connect.
Where are you watching from? Please let us know in the comments. Let's catch up a little bit. Let us know where you're watching from, and also hit the like button so that the video is recommended to other people. I know we came in late a bit, but
because we're business partners, I'm gonna allow you to say we. But guys, I've been here waiting.
Come on, stop.
Like you. But I'm not gonna throw you all under the bus.
Please don't. Yeah, VIP Travel is saying hello, William. Hello, where are you watching us from? There's someone from France. Bonjour.
Wow. Bonjour.
Yes.
Definitely.
Hey. Someone is watching us from Kenya. Happy to be here. Thank you so much, UG Connect. You're doing amazing work on YouTube as well. Shout outs to you.
Credit to UG Connect, man. That's definitely another YouTubers you guys should follow. If you're interested in the stuff that's happening here on the continent, particularly here in Uganda. That young man started his channel very recently, but yet he goes everywhere. I even saw a video, where he went to Mpigi, which is like one of my favorite parts of Uganda. And he actually did a video on why you should definitely invest in Mpigi. So I love content creators that are actually out here hustling, putting in the time. So, we appreciate you showing us some love, and you guys should definitely go to that channel, give them a follow, because it's doing an excellent job, So, in our world, we don't like lazy farmers, and YouTube, we also respect hardworking YouTubers.
YouTubers as well. But thank you so much, guys. Oh, people are watching us from everywhere. Okabi saying he's watching from the UK. William is watching from Fort Portal, your favorite town.
That's one of my favorite places too.
Frank is saying hello. Then Tanya is from Jamaica.
Jamaica. Let me tell you something. For people who love pork here in UG, I have to tell you guys all around the globe, and for those of you who have either lived in the UK or you visited the Caribbean, you've been to Jamaica or other Caribbean island, unless you've had Jamaican jerk pork or jerk pork in general, I have to say you haven't really lived. I'm telling you, once you experience real jerk pork, authentic jerk pork, you'll understand what you've been missing out on. Yeah.
How different is it?
It's just the flavor is bold. It could be spicy. If you can handle great spice, yes, but if not, it's just very flavorful. The depth of flavors build on each other, and it's unlike anything you've ever tasted. Unless you've had real jerk, either jerk chicken, jerk pork, jerk fish, but particularly jerk pork is truly something remarkable. Okay. But the people tune in here for a reason, so
yes,
let's crack on with this.
It's a warning, food shortage on the rise. That is the topic of the day, but of course we shall catch up here and there, share ideas. The major reason as to why we come for this live stream is to, share with you in person, because this is when we are here to answer all your questions, and also have, of course, a topic of discussion as well, as requested by most of you.
Guys, we're not alarmists. In fact, I think we're mostly happy-go-lucky people for the most part. But I know you guys are not sleeping. You're not completely oblivious to what's happening around the globe. Based on research, based on what's actually happening at the moment in terms of the food price index, it's getting dire, you know. For those of you who live abroad or who actually frequent YouTube, you've seen the doomsday preppers, and I remember I used to really laugh sometimes because I was immature. I didn't understand the idea of having a global food shortage was something that was foreign, not just to me but to most people. But what's happening right now, I actually was watching and doing some research, even in China right now, some of the most fertile regions of China, some of the areas that have, in fact, close to 50% of the hydroelectricity in China right now is not operable because of the actual level of drought and the actual impact that is having not just on their economy, but in terms of output and food production. It's the same in the US. I'm not quite sure where the levels are, but I know if you live in the West Coast, even though I currently reside in Orlando, Florida, but for those of you who know me, you know Arizona is like one of my favorite places, if not my favorite place to live in the US. Though I grew up in New York City, for some reason Arizona stole my heart. And what's happening out on the West Coast with the Colorado River, with Lake Mead out in Nevada and in that region is truly scary. But it's also what's happening here in Africa, particularly even East Africa. We understand Kenya, and those of you that are from Kenya, you know this very well. Some parts of Kenya has been under drought warning for more than 7, 8 years, right? Because we always hear about the cattle wrestlers,
Yeah.
these herds guys that literally still live the nomadic lifestyle, that they sometimes have to travel anywhere between 600, 700 kilometers in search of water in order for them to actually keep their cattle alive. Well, the chicken has come home to roost because it's not just Kenya, it's like that here in Uganda.
Uganda,
I mean, in northern Uganda, it's
Skyrocketing.
getting even worse. In fact, we actually have massive starvation happening in that region, which is
Karamoja.
in Karamoja, where literally, mothers are abandoning their children, lactating moms can't get enough food to eat, and because there's nothing to grow. You can't grow anything without water.
There is no water.
And now the prices, forget inflation, because what tends to happen is just basic economics, right? When you have anything that's scarce, whether it's diamond, whether it's, you pick the rare mineral out there, the prices are gonna shoot up.
True.
And most people, particularly those of you that are on the margins, that are the most vulnerable, you know, not everybody live in Norway or Sweden where you're gonna have government stepping in to help subsidize food.
Yeah.
I can tell you guys from experience, from what I know from my fellow Ugandans here, during the first lockdown, people were literally, everything was closed except for essential places, and there was no financial assistance. The government didn't step in to start sending people checks and anything. There was no real support, right?
Actually, there's a little support there of Posho, but not everyone got. And
Yeah, with a country with over 40 million people, I
Not
think
everybody.
less than a few 100,000 people got help.
Yeah.
So, I credit those organizations that tried to help, but by the same token, what's really happening? I want you guys to think about this for a moment. China has over 2 billion people living there. It's not just China. This is happening in India. This is happening in Sri Lanka. In fact, that's why the government collapsed, right? And it's happening in the US. It's also happening throughout the continent. I mean, South Africa is a beautiful country, but don't get me wrong. When you compare South Africa to what we have here in East Africa, it's night and day. You know what I mean? Like that region, though there are areas that actually have water, running water consistently, but most of South Africa is basically, in terms of it's dry. It's completely arid. So now that we're actually seeing weather patterns that are completely out of character, I think a few streams ago we told you guys some people in this country lost everything because they planted their
The
maize.
maize, the
Last
soya,
season they planted soy, and believe me,
groundnuts. People
just
really lost a lot.
just to give you guys an example, to get 1 kg of seeds for maize to plant here, I think it's around like 25 to 30,000 based on the type of seed that you purchase.
Yeah.
And for 1 acre, you need between 25 to 30 kgs, right? Now, it might not sound like a lot of money if you live in Texas, New York, LA, wherever you are. But for somebody who makes about 1 million shillings for the year, or we're talking 260 to 300 US dollar, per diem on an average, when that person lose 90% of that income, there's no making it up. There's no bank that's gonna finance these folks, because a lot of the people in the rural areas, they don't have land titles. They only have family land
Family land,
that was
inherited
passed to
land.
them from their grandfather or from their aunts
That
and
is true.
whomever. So they can't just take the word of like, oh, I have family land here in this village. Please let me borrow X amount of money for me to recover. It doesn't, there's no cushion, there's no safety net. So now many families have been completely destroyed from the last rains that didn't come, right? And now, the weather pattern is still shifty.
It is still shifting.
It's still shifty.
We're
Like-
not sure.
Like,
About it.
even with us, like we have a ton of pigs that needs to eat.
Yeah.
And the way that the last drought, well, the same sustained drought, because right now, this is the worst it's been in 40 years in Uganda.
Yeah, true. That is true.
40 years, this is the worst drought condition we've had on the ground. And this, not just Uganda, but in East Africa as a whole. So now, what's happening naturally, you have countries like, well, we know what's happening in Ukraine, but you have China, you have other parts of India that are not exporting because they don't have anything excess to send.
Yeah.
This is the sleeping giant. This is the reality of what's happening. And for those of you who are in California that like to take your long showers and think it's a joke, when they actually start putting restriction on how long, you can hose your garden or even turn on your sprinkler system. This stuff is real, man. I mean, to think that Lake Mead, which is one of the larger lakes in that region, is down 73% from the standard levels, is something that should shake you to the core. But most news organizations are not really talking about this. What's gonna happen when there's nothing on the shelves? Like, what are we gonna do? That's the reason why I've always loved the idea of being able to go in the backyard and be able to farm, grow something. I don't care if it's a few birds, if you live in areas that allow it, you growing carrots or whatever you can out of your baskets, even if it's just hanging outside your windowsill. Because when I was first in the US, when the virus first started taking hold, that was like one of the main reasons why I wanted to leave, to escape the madness. Because the initial onset of COVID, nobody knew what to do. The idea of leaving the house was terrifying for most people. There was so much misinformation, so many people just fearing to even leave to go to the sidewalk, right? And the fact that I lived in a metro area, I had to brave the madness and go to the store. And I remember the first few times I did it, because I had my son was still relatively new at the time. He was barely, 1? And then the idea of me as a dad, having to just leave my house, go grocery shopping, it was like the closest thing to being a superhero at the time, because it was so scary. Well, what's even scarier now is the fact that most of the regions, not just here, but globally, water is no longer readily available.
Yeah, true.
So now the cascading effect is gonna naturally lead to food shortage everywhere. And nobody's talking about this. I just don't understand what's happening. What do you think is going on? Why do you think the news and more people are not really not we don't. Granted, nobody wants to scare the world, obviously. But this should be something that should be leading every single broadcast every single day. Because what happened when we can't feed the population? There's always been people within the margin, obviously.
True.
There's always been people dying from starvation. But now, imagine having the money and not having the option or food available
even to plant.
for you to purchase.
I know.
It may come to that, you know?
It's coming to that.
I hope it doesn't. It may come to that.
It may come to that. But
So, what do you guys think? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about the situation? Because you're here.
What I really feel about the situation is to just be proactive, do what you can at the moment, because I know with the food shortages that we have in the country right now, and even how everything is very expensive in the market, even buying the seeds themselves is not really, someone cannot, the prices have really gone up.
Yeah.
So for you to go to the market, maybe try and buy something and the weather is not really, it's uncertain. It is really a risk for someone who is going to even plant this season as well. Because it has been raining for a few days, but it has been today.
It's very unpredictable.
So we're not sure whether it's going to continue to rain, whether this is it.
Yeah.
So it is really very uncertain at the moment, and of which the prices are going up. There's nowhere you're going to get the food. The last season was bad. This season, we don't know what to do exactly.
Guys, even let me give you guys an example. I remember pork, right? So if you have a farm and you the farmer, you can go multiple routes, right? You can either deliver direct to consumer, which we've done, or you can sell as a wholesaler to a meat packing company, and then of course they have to add their margins, and then they make the money. In many instances, they make the most money because they bring direct to consumer.
Yeah.
Well, the average price of pork here, not even 3 months ago, if you didn't produce premium pork, it was 7,000 shillings, right, per kg.
7,000 per kg.
Right now, for just standard pork from 3 months ago, it's already up to 10,000.
10,000
For standard pork, like for what they consider basic
pork.
fatty pork. And for whole pork, which is considered premium pork, it's now considered, whole pork is just standard.
Is standard.
Premium is now at 10 to 12,000 wholesale. So if it's at that level for wholesale, the consumer now, before they used to pay between 18 to 22,000 shillings, right?
Yeah.
Now the average person, if you go to a supermarket, you're gonna be spending between 25 to 27,000 kgs thousand shillings for 1 kg of pork.
True.
Now, don't get me wrong, as business people, yes, we want to make money, but we don't want it to come at the expense of people really facing the worst of it on their end. So how do you guys feel about that? Put your questions in the chat. Are we being hyperbolic about the situation? We're just talking about what we see and that nobody's really talking about.
It's like what the discussion we had earlier on where, in a group, we're discussing about something. So someone was saying that, the last season, most people sold out their pigs because of the
chickens, pigs.
They sold out because they couldn't feed them. They couldn't sustain them. The management costs were really going up.
Yeah.
So now the people who try to maintain are the ones who are, who are just, everyone is running to them for the food. That's why the food shortage is right now.
And the people with supply don't even want to sell right now.
Don't want to sell right now.
Because they're hoarding. It's just like if you have gasoline, some people are unscrupulous, right? They're gonna try even when they know if disaster strikes, and if you're the one gas station with gas left, they're gonna start selling. They put up the station and they start selling on the black market. That's what a lot of these farmers are doing in some regions, where they're not even sending any more food to the wholesaler.
Yeah.
Like my favorite supermarket to go to, Carrefour. The idea of me going there to even buy goat is not even an option. You lucky. I remember the last time I went in there, I didn't see enough. There wasn't much fish. There was no lamb. There was just a few pieces of scraps left. And I'm very particular about meat, but believe me, I typically, when I go to the supermarket, I like to literally see the carcass and choose, the cuts that I want. But the last 2 times I went, I had no choice. I had no choice. And it didn't dawn on me. I'm like, wait a minute, this place always has everything. And I went to multiple locations and it was the same thing. Oh, we don't have any goat. Oh no, we don't have any more lamb. Oh no. You're looking for beef? No, we don't have any. This is all we have left. We only have like ground beef left or ground pork. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, this is not normal. This is very abnormal. So for those of you who are out there right now, I'm sure if we've seen this in Kampala, can you imagine what's happening in some of the villages, in some of the regions?
Exactly.
So that's it. I don't want to go too much, but
and even to add on that, it's not only the drought. The heavy rains we've had this time round, with the unpredictable
the
weather,
mudslides.
the mudslides have been there, like especially in eastern Uganda. Like the mudslides were really so bad. The people who had really tried to plant whatever they could lost a lot. So that is another
There's
thing.
another factor at play with that, though, if we're being honest with that. So, guys, let me tell you something. And this is not plugging anything. This is just like one of the main reasons why we decided to actually not just build a regular farm, but to actually build a training center. There's a real epidemic in this country, and I think it comes from, I would say, a lack of awareness. I'm not calling anybody here stupid. I'm not calling anybody here anything derogatory, but there is a lack of awareness in terms of, sustainable farming. There's a lot of old school ways, things in this country and in this region that has been in place way before we were born, way before our grandparents were born, probably, right?
Yes.
And yet, when you think about it, right, these things still ring true today. For example, we have massive deforestation in central Uganda, like in Uganda as a whole. In fact, now if you're on the highway, the police typically stop any truck on the road because they want to see if those trucks are carrying charcoal. Because many people are literally going into the middle of the forest, going on top of the mountain. They're illegally cutting trees in droves because the economy is not so great. And if you're looking for regular jobs, right? But in terms of if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, you can make money. But what happens in a lot of these rural areas, these guys, what they do, they cut all the trees. As a matter of fact,
by the way, the government tries their best.
I know they do, but I remember when we first went to the area we're in, when we first started the process of buying our land, even the chairman who actually assisted us in buying the land actually had people go on our land and cut all of our trees. So at first we didn't realize what was happening because, again, we didn't live there because the place was just a bush. And so when we started to come back onto the ground, we noticed like all of a sudden people were just there collecting wood, and then we seen plumes of smoke, and then charcoal was being made. And so we didn't really truly comprehend what was happening until it was too late. But in a lot of these rural areas, they just make charcoal and they make mud bricks. And when they make the mud bricks itself, they digging the natural protection soil that would typically protect their homes from flooding, and they're taking the trees from the top of the hill, from the higher terrain. They're not replanting, and they're also digging to remove top soil and to make mud bricks as a way to make money. And it's not the most sustainable thing you can do. It's not the most profitable thing you can do. But many of these folks just are not aware that there are other options. There are other ways because they've never really truly in a very long time been taught, yes, you can still do what you are known, what you've grown up doing, but there are other ways you can try to earn a living. There are cash crops, there are other options, and these people have some of the best land around, and they just dig up all the topsoil to make mud bricks. And these mud bricks will literally sit somewhere for like 2-3 years, and then it just melts in the rain again, but yet that topsoil gets washed away. So then that's why a lot of these places are now completely barren, and there's very poor ground cover in terms of crops. And of course, the mudslides are always happening in Zimbabwe.
Always happening in Uganda.
So, there are other factors, but this is like the perfect storm. The drought, and then the ground gets super, super dry, nothing grows, and then when the rains come, right, it just brings everything down from the top side. So that's just some of the regions that we're in. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sarah is saying, hi Grafton, great points you're discussing. I do background gardening, and at my work, I started a container gardening on the balconies.
Nice.
That's really nice.
And Sarah's smart.
Yeah,
And many other people should be doing the same thing. I know even in Orlando where we live, right, in the backyard, we always had a garden. Even when I was living in New York City, I tried to grow tomatoes, peppers and spices, from the gardening boxes.
Wow.
So for those of you who are out there where you have a little bit of room, if you have your backyard, plant something, keep some chickens, get you some rabbits.
Yes, rabbits are easy to get.
Easy to maintain. They produce very quickly. Get you some quails. That way you can have some protein to help sustain us to this massive.
Yeah, you don't have to have big land to have it as well.
That's true.
That is so true. She also says that food prices are skyrocketing, even in developed countries okay, there is a drought and rains are very unreliable at the moment.
Yeah. So what do? How do you prepare for this? If you like us, or if you're somebody who's literally, whether you're in the tech industry or medical, the idea of don't just think about looking for a house to purchase. If you're fortunate enough to be in a position to invest in your primary home, start to look for houses with acreage. Don't worry so much about being in the heart of the city. You can be, instead of being 10 minutes from downtown, wherever you are, you might want to be 25 to 30 minutes away from downtown or further out, where your money can go further and that you can actually buy your primary home, and maybe you get an extra half acre, quarter acre. Lucky, if you're fortunate enough, you might be able to get another acre or so, and start growing your own food if it's possible. If you can afford it, go for it. And for those of you that are renting, give up the fancy lofts in the city, guys. Go get your hands dirty. Move out a little bit further. Go to your parents' village. And another thing that we've been discussing, everything old somehow comes back to being new again, right? In the cycle of life. I meet numerous people in Kampala. When they talk about the village, it's like a taboo subject. You know what I'm talking about? Like, we have some land way out there in the village, and you're asking about where? You're like, it's like 3 hours away from here. And then they once they leave and they're in Kampala, which is the capital, they never go back. In reality, the folks who stayed in the village, they're now the rich ones.
The rich ones.
Because let me tell you something. For many people, yes, maize did not grow. But for people who had actual irrigation, instead of selling whole maize, at 600 shillings or 700 shillings, at one point, guys, it was 2,500, 2,600 shillings for just a kilo of maize. So now when you're feeding like 250 pigs, you literally are spending between like 4,200,000, roughly, give or take, on just maize, brand. And then you also have to buy broken. You also have to buy all of these other feed supplements. You have to go to the mill. And then a lot of the mills had maize, and they purposely hoarded. They held on to it.
No, they were looking for the best price.
For the highest price. And then guess what? They were not selling here locally.
No.
They were shipping the maize to South Sudan, to Kenya. And so if, as a farmer here in Uganda, if you don't have the means, even with money, there were times we could not find feeds for our pigs. Literally, where we had to, in fact, a few times, thankfully we have a very resourceful team, our manager has very good relationship with a lot of the millers that are really close with our farm, right? She had to go to 3, 4, 5, 6
And book.
separate millers to book.
Yeah.
200 kgs here, 100 kgs there, 50 kg here, to try to get up to a number that can sustain the pigs for a certain amount of time. So now, if you're just starting out with your poultry project, you're not making money for 6 months, and if you didn't plan adequately, where are you gonna go? That's the reason why a lot of people, there's a massive shortage of eggs right now in Uganda. Even for those of you guys that live out here, you know, if you're in TZ, Kenya, UG, you know, Burundi, you know all about chapatis. Even those of you that are out there in Sri Lanka and throughout India, you know all about the chapatis. They might call them something different out there.
What did you call it before? They knew it was a chapati.
I didn't know it was a chapati. Oh, I thought it was a flatbread. You see, you laughing at me. It looked like a flatbread to me. It just looked like a thinner flatbread.
Okay.
Even, I remember when I knew things got seriously real. We used to go to this one chapati stand.
Yeah.
And this guy, we dubbed him as the original genius of the
genius
chapati.
of the chapati.
And then one day we went to buy chapatis from this guy, and he was making miniature chapatis. You remember that?
Yes.
So usually the chapatis are the size of, I guess, if you buy what is it, tortillas from the supermarket, it's the size of a large tortilla, maybe slightly larger. So this guy, we went to his stand. All of a sudden, we saw miniature tortillas,
So
tiny chapatis, and I'm like, wait a minute, why are you making them that size? It's like the prices. People can't afford to pay the normal sizes, and they also can't buy the materials to keep making the normal size chapatis and then pass on the price to consumer. And that was like the beginning.
The beginning of it, and
This was like this was 6 months ago.
Yes.
And we thought it was a joke.
We thought it would end soon.
Because the one thing you learn when you come here to UG, rainy season is no joke here, usually. During rainy season, it rains like cats and dogs all day, every day, 6 days a week. If rainy season is here for 3 months, it's like that. You just expect to get rain every day. And now, literally, it might rain in Kampala, and then it doesn't rain in the village where all the food is being grown.
Yeah.
And then you might be in Lurero, and a section of Lurero is getting rain, like maybe like 10 blocks. And then you drive another 10 blocks, and the sun is shining, and there could be no rain for like a week.
Yeah.
So the good thing is we were very fortunate. From the very beginning, the first thing we did, we dug a very sizable dam. But I'm thinking about all of our brethren that are out here that didn't have that option, that didn't have the additional funds to actually go that route. And it's really, really getting dire. It's really getting dire because there are families in Uganda, guys, no joke, that barely survive on $250 to $300 a year. And a lot of those folks make that money by planting and having their little coffee, planting maize, growing, pineapples or what have you, whatever crops that they grow, that they harvest. But if there's no rain, that money is not there. And there are other correlations that come with that. To see children literally not getting enough to eat, to see, it's not like that for everybody, but you can see it more prevalent in the village since the last insane part of the drought occurred. And a lot more, and another way is very apparent where you can see the effects of that loss of income is when you start to see 11-year-old kids, 12-year-old kids, and you in the car, and we would look at each other like, wait a minute, shouldn't this girl be in school right now? Shouldn't this young man be in school right now?
Yes, and sometimes we've even stopped and asked them.
We ask. And then the kids tell you the same thing. My grandfather or my mom and my dad could not afford the fees for me to continue to go to school this year or this semester. You talk about heartbreaking. I mean, geez, I've been to so many different parts of this world. Like, those are the things that you see at times that really make you stop, and at night or in the morning you get on your knees and you thank your lucky stars and you thank God, whatever God that you pray to, that your family is not in that situation. And that's also part of the reason why I wanted to be here with my partner to both do something. You know, I didn't come to Uganda to be a savior. I don't have that complex. I'm not delusional. But by the same token, I came here to try to make a difference, you know, and try to create opportunities, of course, for ourselves because we're business people, but with our local community in mind.
Yeah, true.
And so that's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. I can't speak to my partner here, but I know when we talk about it privately, that's like one of the crowning achievements of my professional career, because I've been a banker, I've been in the office with the AC, I've been that guy that would get out of work and take the company car home and company trips, and I would have traded that a million times over to have come here 5 years prior to do what I'm doing now, because I found profound happiness when we actually bring people and we hire folks and we help them save money. Guys, let me tell you, for me, I don't know what Tina's gonna tell you. We have about 17 to 20 people at the farm, workers, full-time workers, and VF partners. That's what we look at them as, right? The most rewarding feeling, the two things that I take the most joy in is payday for me. The day we pay our staff, I always like to be present. No matter how sick, no matter how tired, no matter how horrible things are in my life, the thing that I love to do, one of them, is to go to the farm and look at every single person in the eyes and thank them for their commitment and their sacrifice of being away from their families and the time that they give in Value Farm as an organization for our farm to grow to get to the ultimate level that we're trying to get to. I cherish our workers, our partners on the ground. I love that part. But the greatest reward is when we talk to these guys and we find out they were able to take the money we paid them. They save enough money to build houses back in their village. And now they're able to get married. They're able to send their kids to school. And they're able to do all of these things because of their gainful employment with a company that we create. How do you feel about that?
Every time I talk to the guys at the farm, sometimes I get surprised. Then you really ask them, okay, so how is everything? Like, these guys are really good planners. That is the thing I love about them. They know how to plan for their money. They don't just waste it, in buying luxury stuff.
They save.
They save the money. They have their small circle at the farm as well, whereby they collect the money in rounds. Then later on, they collect the money. They have good planning skills.
The first official credit unions are the circles at the farms.
Yes. So sometimes when I speak to them and they tell me their plans and what they are looking forward to, it's just a good feeling to me. And another thing that I really wanted to tell people out there about, I think everything started in COVID time when people, stayed home, kids' schools were shut. So most kids could not afford to go back to school.
That's true.
That. Of course, the parents were really trying to partly it was the parents' fault, not fault, but the strain from the parents sometimes.
Some things are just out of your control.
Out of control. So of course the kids were also forced maybe to work as well so that they can sustain their families. So there's some kids that I've really talked to before in the village. The time I used to stay in the village, there's a kid that used to come to deliver stuff with a truck. So I was like, I asked the truck guy, why don't you go to school? And they're like, I couldn't. I was like, why? But you're still so young, you should be in school right now. And he was like, you know what? When COVID hit, I started making my own money. And of course, I was supporting my family. My dad couldn't afford to take me back to school. So I had to just continue. I was like, so can't you really go back right now? He was like, no, I can't do it because I need to support my family further. Maybe later on, maybe after a few years, I can definitely go back. So sometimes it's just, circumstances that force people to be out of school at the moment. And of course, it is about the COVID. That's what I really think.
Yeah, but now I think that's a wonderful point, and thank you for sharing that. Now, we're all facing some rough circumstances right now. Like, the one thing in this world, guys, we all have in common, no matter what your race, creed, religion, there's only one planet that we're living on right here. And food is becoming more finite.
Yeah.
And water is becoming even more finite.
True.
So what I can tell you, those of you that are out there, is be smart with your money.
True.
Don't worry about buying the newest car. It's okay to get a car that's 3 or 4 years old. Take that extra $10,000 or $15,000 or $17,000 you're gonna sink into a new Escalade or new Lexus or BMW. You take that money, you put it away, and then you make it to the next year, and you try to add a little bit more onto it and get you a piece of land that you can call yours. And if that's not in the US, go to Belize. If that's not in Belize, come to Uganda. For those of you who don't want to go too far, at one point land in Costa Rica used to be cheap, not anymore. So please have your exit strategy. Don't wait till you're 57 to start planning for your exit strategy, because by that time it's too late. You need to start planning about how you're gonna safely get your family out of this predicament. You should have been thinking about it 5 years ago, but it's okay, life happens, right? But right now, start saving your money, start investing in land, not in cars. If you can partner with a farmer, whether they're in Belize, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Mexico, here in Uganda, on the continent, invest in real estate, but particularly in farmland. Many of you think of real estate as just a house or condo. Real estate also, land is real estate. And it's an asset that will appreciate. The market will fluctuate, yes. But as long as that title is in your name and you can put your kid's name on there, your legacy is secure. You need to think about that. And don't worry about riding fresh in your new car. Just worry about getting land with fresh air. Land that you can either build or decide that you can start a small farm. If the worst comes to worst, you can always have a place to retreat and actually make it.
True.
Because let me tell you right now, that's what we were talking about earlier this morning. Earlier today, or a few days ago. Yeah, earlier today. The idea that now, as business owners here with VF, we have land. And as an American, as you know, to be able to say this, like we have land, we have some real land here, and not just any land, valuable land. And I've shared this with you guys before.
That land as well.
We've done great improvement to the land, right? what's happening in the US globally, not just in the US, in Ireland, everywhere, Australia, New Zealand, some of the world's wealthiest people are now actively purchasing farmland. People like Bill Gates, people like Elon Musk, people like, you know, wow, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, even Mark Cuban, a bunch of these really super wealthy folks out there. They're not just buying yachts. They're not just buying, you know, fleets of aircrafts for their private traveling. They're buying farmland. Why do you think that is? If you can actually have a say in food production, you hold the power. You know, like, think about that. The world has to eat. There's a lot of things as human beings you can do without. You can't do without oxygen, you can't do without water, and you can't do without food.
Yes.
Right? So if these people are smart enough to start investing back into farm holdings, where do you think you should be putting your money? Even if you yourself, you're not a farmer, you don't need to be a seasoned farmer to own farmland. You can have your land. You can learn to become a farmer. You can learn to partner with experienced farmers. You know, you need to buy farm land, invest in agriculture. You'll never go wrong. That's it. That's all I have to say about that.
Wow. Guys, you've not ignored your comments. You know, there's so many comments, right?
I'm sorry.
But really appreciate everyone who has really left a comment right there. We really shout outs to everyone wherever you're watching us from. Of course, I cannot read everyone's comment, but of course we shall, you know.
Yeah, for those of you that want to skip the line, just hit us up with a super chat.
Yes.
Buy my partner here some coffee. You know, even though it's later in the evening, I hope somebody saved this as a clip. Do you see how happy Tina gets every time we talk about coffee?
Oh my
She's
God.
a coffee addict. She also like her tea, but coffee does the trick every time.
Coffee has a special place. But I love the coffee, and shout out to Quincy. Yes, I hope I mentioned his name. He always gives us super chat.
Always, yeah. Quincy love buying you coffee, so thank you, Quincy.
Time. And he doesn't watch on time. I think after
The
maybe
time
work,
schedule, yeah.
then he goes back and watches
Yeah.
later on and does that. But thank you so much. Shout outs to you. If you're going to watch this live stream, we really appreciate. God bless your pockets. Then someone was saying, let's first read a few comments right here as well. Some of you may be wondering, how am I going to super chat you? There's a dollar sign there that you can be able to, because that is another thing that most people were saying. How can I do it? I'm new to this thing. There's a dollar sign, you can tap on it, then you can give whatever you can. That's how you can support the channel and also Value Farm as well. So someone is saying here, Mr. Suspect, good evening, Tina, and your colleague Moses here in Dubai. But my next move is to move to Uganda direct to your office for farming ideas.
You should come.
Ahead for my future. Okay, that is really nice.
We're here to help.
Yes. Then Nelson is saying hi from Zambia. Hello. How is Zambia? How is everyone that side? How is the weather? How are you guys handling?
Can I interject real quick? So guys, I also want to make one quick clarification.
Yeah.
You don't always, again, farming is not monolithic. It's not just one aspect. You know, some of you don't want to get your hands in the soil. It's okay. You can still reap from farming by getting into the value addition chain.
Yeah.
The supply chain is massive.
True.
And I think I spoke to you guys about this a while before. This is what I want you out there that are watching this, whether you're watching live or you're watching this later. Do this exercise real quick. Ask yourself, those of you that are not on medical restriction in terms of how you're able to eat. When was the last time you actually cooked something without oil? Think about it. Whether you're using a cooking spray, whether you're using just coconut oil or avocado oil, olive oil, it's such a massive industry.
Yes.
And you know what? Here in Uganda, I can't speak to Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, or any of those countries because I haven't spent enough time on the ground in those regions to comment with a level of certitude that I can tell you about what's happening here in Uganda, because I've been here now for over a year.
Yes.
I can tell you guys right now, the value chain is wide open. There's no company in this country, I can tell you, that has a lock on any value addition in terms of agriculture. Whether it's in sausage making, cheese processing, particularly oil, right? Oil manufacturing. There's nothing. It's wide open.
Sure.
You know, we have a company called Fresh Cuts. I would say in terms of meat packing, they're the biggest here in this country.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say they have maybe a 5 to 7% market share. So if you're that person, if you're that finance person, if you're that tech person, if you're that individual out there who understood that investing 10,000 into Uber 7 years ago could make you a billionaire, why not take your same 10 or 20 or 30,000, get with a few of your friends, get on the ground here in Uganda and come open an actual oil processing company? Because I can tell you guys right now, if you do, you could probably become the market leader, because there's not really much competition. As a matter of fact, here in Uganda, most of the raw products that are grown here are brought to Kenya.
Of course.
They come here to get the avocado to make the avocado oil. They come here to get the peanut to make the peanut oil and the peanut butter. They take it across the border because there's more advanced technology in Kenya, right? And then they buy it here for cheap, and then they bring it right across the border and market about 300 to 400%. So if you that opportunistic investor or that person who's looking for the next big thing, it's right here in front of you. You don't have to catch Uber. You know, the revolution in terms of the next notable billionaires are gonna come from agriculture.
Sure.
You don't necessarily have to put it in the ground. You can take over after it comes from the ground, right? Or after it's dispatched in case of livestock. Meat packing, anything in terms of production, processing. You can still make and have a massive impact on the continent, and also make a really, really great return on your investments wherever you decide to go. So keep that in mind. So not all of us are natural born farmers, but there's so many entry points for you to get in. That's what I wanted to clarify. So please continue.
Wow, that is, please note that down, because that is really very key. And most people, if you're missing out on such points and you don't want to get dirty, those are some of the entry points you can get in so that you can make money. You can
still be in the office and make a killing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is it, guys. So let's read the comments again. Inze is saying, hi, Tina and Greg, thank you so much. Yes. Then someone is saying here, Bright is saying, great job, keep up, guys, thank you. Then this name, I can't even mention it. But Kwemi is saying, excellent subject, we must wake up and wake up. All those who still dream of government, do not that they don't understand these issues of tomorrow.
You can't wait for the government to save you. You have to save yourself.
Save yourself.
You have to save yourself. I learned that the hard way, believe me.
That is true.
I learned that a long time ago, because let me tell you guys something. In the US, you know, yes, we do have government assistance. Yeah. But as a minority, especially as a male, you know, it's always difficult to access those for the most part. Some people might know how to get around the system. Luckily for me, thank God, I've never had to go through that madness, you know, to that aspect of my life. I've been very fortunate. But I know a lot of folks that falls through the crack. Yes, we have safety nets in America, but somehow the nets work better for others than most people that look like me and you. So when it comes to this, you know, I'm a family man, just like you're a family woman here. And many of you out there have families of your own, and you will have families of your own. Guys, this stuff is serious. The idea of not being able to take your money to the store or whatever money you're making right now, even with the rate of inflation, the salary that you have, ask yourself, how many of you have had your salaries increase to stay with inflation?
Oh.
So at this very moment, if you had 100,000 USD in the bank, they telling you the rate of inflation is closer to 9.5%. But take this from a banker. You ready for this? Even when I was my early days in finance, you know what? Do you want to know the truth is when it comes to inflation? Even when the annual rate of inflation back then, they used to tell people it was 2.5 to 3%. As bankers, we always knew it was closer to 5 to 6%. So when they're telling you right now the rate of inflation is 9.5%, closer to 10%, it's actually closer to 15%.
You don't want to scare people.
That's just a fact. So now, if it's 15%, whatever, if you have $100 in the bank, you minus 15% on that. And then you multiply that to whatever thousands that you might have. If you're lucky enough to have that, right? But you know where that's not gonna hurt you? Land.
True.
You know where that's not gonna hurt you? Manufacturing. You know where it will hurt you? Working a regular job. Your salary does not have that inflation fighting power.
Yeah.
Because you tell me how many of you got a 10% raise in 2022.
Okay.
No, not those of you who got a new job, right?
It's a few.
Tell me how many of you in the chat right now, since 2022 started, that got a 12 to 15% raise during the middle of the year. Very few. Not enough to make a dent out of the 70 plus people that are watching right now.
That is so true.
So if you are in a position where you are the business owner, where you are the investor, you have to go where you're going to get a real return on your investment. True. And right now it's agriculture because it's becoming more and more scarce. For those that are in fish production, livestock, even fresh fruits and vegetables, those that own the oil presses that are making coconut oil. Let me tell you something. I actually saw something. I watched a documentary from Nigeria. And it was based on this one lady who came back from either the UK or the US, went back to Nigeria, and actually is now making millions of dollars selling, I believe, either yams or yam production. But she came back from working a regular job back in the US or in the UK, and came back to Nigeria, and now she's earning 100 times more
My goodness.
farming than when she was actually working a 9 to 5.
Hey,
What does that tell you?
those are some of the stories that really.
It's a fact.
This is fact.
It's a fact. And another one that I saw, which was very exciting, for a group of women that are in northern Uganda, especially here in East Africa, these ladies are making so much money in the shea butter production.
Yep.
Can you imagine? You see, most of you out there think about shea butter being a West African thing, coming from Ghana, coming from that side of the continent. But the East African shea is the truth. Look into that. Particularly the cosmetic industry, heavy investments are going to the East African shea. And for those of you who are sitting at home, like, I don't know what to do. I have this extra 10K. I have this extra 25,000. What should I do? Bring your behind here. Come spend a few weeks in Uganda. Get your foot on the ground. Go up to northern Uganda. Go to the Nile, West Nile region. Go to Busia, close to the border of Kenya. Most of these border towns are bustling with investment opportunities.
That is so true. Some people come for tourism, of course, but do tourism, but also look out for.
Make it a vacation, working trip,
something like
all in
that.
one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that you hit two birds with one stone.
It'll actually be 3. You'll actually can tell for the rest of your life, I've been to the motherland.
I've been to the motherland. Yes, I'm going to see the lions, I'm going to see whatever,
And in fact, when you make it here, you realize that the lions that you come to see You, my friend, just need to look in the mirror. You're the lion and the lioness. You bring your money here and you make it happen. Partner with the smart locals on the ground. And believe me, you won't be sorry. But make sure before you do anything, make sure you do your research. Trust but verify.
Verify.
And then when you think you verify enough, you double verify before you start writing checks.
Some people pretend in the beginning.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is really so
But
true.
the opportunities are here. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that is so true. Doreen is saying, nobody got a raise.
That I didn't want to say. I didn't want to crush anybody's spirit in the chat. But guys, take it, dude. Guys, I worked. I had a career. I know what it's like. Listen, this is not just about being in the U.S. This is true for my fellow Ugandans. This is true for the folks in the diaspora. You know, there are many of y'all that has been in your profession. And this is why I'm so passionate about what we do here.
Yeah.
There's so many of you out there that's been in your career. Some of you have held a job at the same company for the last 15 years, 20 years. You're lucky if you actually got a 15% raise over the last 20 years where you are. Because I know I have my cousin Woody, who's a teacher in New York City. He's been a teacher now going on, 20 years? Literally. I think the last 5 years before he got into the New York City public school system, he didn't get a raise for 7 years. 7 years. And right now, the one of the highest shortage, that's another pandemic, so to speak. There's a massive shortage of teachers all over the U.S.
Yeah.
Why? Because they work ridiculously hard, super underappreciated and underpaid. So I know many of you guys, even though you have your fancy degrees, you have 1, 2, 3 master degrees, and you're barely making it. The number one asset you have is your brain and your experience that you've amassed in the U.S. I don't care if you're an American, you don't have any family here in Uganda or anywhere on the continent. Believe me, once you make it here, you're gonna find family.
That is true.
There are many of you out there that are single or divorced. You want to reset your life. Don't move to Mexico. Come to the continent. You know, don't rush into anything. You can make it here. Guys, it's fine. The weather here is beautiful. The people are friendly. The opportunities are all around you. I'm gonna tell you guys something in the chat here. And I hope this comes off the right way, because I love you guys, and I want to share. I'm that type of person. You know me. If it's something good, I want to share with my friends. You guys are part of the VF family.
Yes, you're part of this family.
Now,
this is a safe space for
it
us.
is a safe space, right? Listen to this. Now, for those of you that are in the U.S. right now, or anywhere outside of the continent, how many of you today would think of starting a travel agency as a business that can be profitable? For those of you that are living overseas.
Leave your comments.
Yeah, leave your comments. But right now, this is to show you the need of your experience where you are right now, the value which you hold. Forget money, but what you know, right? Right now, one of the best businesses you can start on the continent in East Africa is if you were to start a travel agency, touring company, a reputable one, because there's a lot of flaky ones out there. But think of actually, if you were sitting in the U.S., you might not want to invest $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 to start a traveling agency, right? Where you're booking flights, cruises, tours, because that market has been oversaturated. Thanks to Travelocity, thanks to all of the other sites that you can just book flights on your own. The majority of people in Uganda here, when it's time for them to travel to make plans to go somewhere, Tina, do you do that on the computer or do you go see a travel agent? Please preach. Share with the people. What do most people here prefer to do?
They go to the travel agent.
But in America, that business has been dying off.
Really?
Over the last 20 plus years in the US. If I'm lying, put it in the comment. But here in
Why?
Uganda,
Why is it dying?
the reason it's dying is because advent of new technology. You now
can do
can
it
just
your
book
thing.
your flight on your phone. You don't have to speak to anybody.
Hey.
That's the culture we foster in the US,
Okay.
where human touch, human interaction. Now you can literally be at the family at a table having dinner. Nobody's speaking to each other. Everybody's on their phone texting or surfing the internet. That's just the world that we live in the US to some degree. But
Yeah.
but here in Uganda,
One thing's to be done.
in East Africa, here,
Yes.
most people, when it's time for them to leave the country,
Yes.
they go see a travel agent. So for those of you who are retired travel agents who used to love being a travel agent at home, and you thought that career went to the dinosaurs or the ways of the dodo bird, you can just move out here to Uganda, open a travel agency, and make bank.
Hey.
I chose that as an example
Okay.
to share with you guys how many different ways you can leave
Yeah.
and come here and live
True.
and still earn a great living, have opportunities that you might think that are long dead where you are, and yet you come here, you can still have a 15-year run, 10-year run.
True. I think that needs, discussion next time.
Should I drop the mic? I'm just saying. That's what it is.
Wow.
But let's get back on topic, please.
Next time we should do the StreamYard where we invite people to share their ideas as well. What do you think?
Sure, of course.
So that we are not just sticking to you guys and writing. Some of you just stay to type. So that we invite you guys so that you can also, bring the ideas on and we have a discussion here. And Sarah is saying, brother, I wish you were my financial advisor.
I'm a retired financial advisor. I play one in real life.
Oh, wow. This is the milk. Are you talking about palm oil?
Yeah, palm oil is completely different.
Different.
As a matter of fact, the majority, I think close to 40% of the palm oil production comes out of Malaysia.
Yeah.
And guess what? Malaysia has restricted the amount. They've actually capped the amount of palm oil that they're exporting.
Oh.
Even many people, even in West Africa, palm oil is the oil of choice, right? For many people out there.
Yeah.
Yes, we produce some palm oil in West Africa, even here in East Africa. Now that's like the new craze, right?
Not so much.
There's a lot of people that are
What
getting
kind?
into it
Okay.
now here, because remember the land that we were looking at buying,
Yes.
that's what that farmer planted.
Was
So
planted.
it's spreading here on the east as well. However, let me tell you guys, the opportunity to come to Uganda to start a coconut farm or to actually partner with people that are growing coconut on the east side here in Africa, to actually start making coconut oil and processing that, doing cold pressed oil, it's wide open. There's just so many things you can do. We can't do everything.
We can't.
Help me. Come help your brother. Come to Uganda and help your brother and sister here. Why are you laughing, Tina? I'm being honest.
Because you're being honest.
I'm being honest.
Being selfless here.
It's
to our
too
brothers
much.
and sisters
It's
there.
too much. We can't do everything.
We can't.
Like for example, like here, you can literally come to Uganda with like $15,000, and I know that's a lot of money for a lot of people. I'm not saying everybody have
Can't
that
afford
under
that.
the cushion. I'm just giving you an example. But ask yourself this question though: if you're starting a business in the UK or in the US, wherever you are, don't you need startup capital? Of course you do.
You do.
But even those of you that have like $2,000 or 1,000 USD, right? You know what you could do with that here? You can come, lease a little piece of land, get you some beehives, spend a few weeks shadowing and experience a person within that field, right? In the apiary world. And before you know it, you can be printing cash in the honey production.
That is true.
Prosperous, whatever else you want to do, because there's such a shortage of honey, both in the US, in the UK, in the United Emirates. They need honey everywhere. And unlike the US, we don't have the ailments that are killing bees by the millions at home. It doesn't exist here. The novel with this country, which I love actually here, Most of the honey is just captured in the wild, locally
Yes,
here.
local.
So you can't get any more organic than the honey that's being produced here. So these are ways you can actually be active and make a passive income
That is so true.
while you're at it. There's just so many things.
So many opportunities. It's like someone I was telling you earlier on today, he was saying he wanted to us to visit his farm.
Yeah.
Where he's just starting up his farm,
Yeah.
and he wants to do
Poultry, and he's gonna do the black soldier flies.
black
Yeah.
soldier flies. So that is something that he's really invested in.
Mhm.
He said, my machines are coming in. I want you guys to come so that you can see what I'm also doing. So such a person who really reaches out and also wants us to see that he's also doing something in the country.
That's
wants
amazing.
us to also share ideas with him.
Mhm.
It is really something that is really good.
Now, Tina, I will share something with you that these people out there know very well.
Uh-huh.
You see, in my country, in the U.S.,
Mhm.
and it's true in France, it's true in Germany, everywhere, most places, there's a lot of pensioners out there, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that are at home right now. There's a few people in this chat. They might have a mother or grandmother or grandfather who's currently on Social Security or who's getting a pension. You know, with the fact that inflation is so high right now, these folks that were barely scraping by, making their fixed income,
Yeah.
some people are literally just getting $1,000 a month. Some people, not $1,000 is really worth 900, roughly, give or take.
Yeah.
But yet food has gone up so much.
True.
So now, this is not, I'm not being hyperbolic, I'm being serious. There are elderly couples out there, after they pay for their prescription drugs and pay for their bare minimum living expenses, that are rationing on their medication because they can't afford to pay it. That are skipping on insulin, that are skipping on their high blood pressure medication, that are literally eating cat food in many instances to supplement their food. I'm not making this stuff up. And your pension won't go up by 10 to 15% just because inflation is happening. Now, if you have a variable annuity, yes, there are incremental gains. You have inflation fighting powers. You know, that's a whole nother topic. Maybe one day I'll do an investment stream.
Yeah,
That's
we shall do that
on another channel,
next time.
right?
Even this one.
And so, but I just want you guys to think about that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in that position where you literally having to think about skipping out on your medication or skipping out a meal or two
That is so sad.
during the day just to get by. And it's getting to that point now because of food shortage. Just think about what those people are going through.
At the moment.
Like just the thought of it breaks my heart. So for those of you who haven't talked to your grandma in a few weeks or a few months, some of you the last 6 months, you need to pick up the phone, call grandma, call your mom, call your dad, because life is too short, man. Things are rough out there, and for many people, you know, a phone call, a text, even a voice note, letting that person know you're thinking about them, and how you can help them. And this is true not just for family, but for friends. There are a lot of people right now that are dealing with anxiety, depression, because of the state of the economy or what might be coming if we really truly go into a real recession.
True.
I have to tell you, I was part of the 2006 world where the market crashed, and I was a full-time banker. You talk about dealing with anxiety. At the time, I was working for Wachovia Securities, no joke. It was one of the third largest bank in the US at the time. And I remember going home on a Friday where the company's stock prices was around $27, $28 a share. And this was a bank that our pricing at the time, before we got into that recession, before the last housing bubble burst, I believe at one point we were trading around 50 to 60 USD per share. And I remember that Friday getting home, that price was still at $26 per share. That Monday when I went to the bank, when I went back to my office, our share prices was less than $1.27. And I remember getting emails and text messages from our management team where we were literally firing people, laying people off by the tens of thousands. I'm talking like, I remember Bank of America laying off like 100,000 people on a Friday afternoon. And I remember we laying off 50,000. Then that 50,000 became 300,000 within a matter of weeks. So there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with the anxiety, with the uncertainty of what's to come. And now you add food shortage and now all this inflation. There are a lot of people out there that are not built to handle stress like this. And they need friends, they need you to do your part. A phone call, a text message, letting somebody know that you're there for them, to not just talk, but to listen and to be a shoulder to lean on, can go a long way. That could be the difference between that person having that strength to go on, or some people choosing to get off the ramp prematurely.
True.
So do your job as a son, daughter, friend. Pick up the phone, visit, talk to people.
Yes.
Because this time right here is too real for a lot of people.
For everyone, most people, everybody. It's been a great time, by the way. The degree differ.
Yeah, of course.
But everyone is going through that time. Really. Guys, like the video. We have 67 people watching. Please hit the like button so that the video can be recommended to other people as well. This is important information. And I appreciate you for sharing, such experiences with people.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Sarah is saying there are very many diasporans doing farming, but it's a challenge managing things via remote control.
It is. So we're actually working with a group right now where we're actually testing out a pilot program.
We are trying to test.
Where we actually working with a team that does an excellent job at training these are extension workers, right? So what we're working with this group is to basically train, partner with them, where we identify people that has the potential to be trustworthy managers that we manage. And yes, you hire these extension workers to work at your farm, but we can train the managers up to our standard, and those people are managed by the group.
Yes.
Where you basically get a standard report, but then they do everything they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You understand? So at the end of the day, it makes it more feasible for you who might not necessarily be on the ground full time, where you can actually have a partner on the ground that manages that process for you, that then makes it a reality for you to start investing in agriculture before you make the commitment to come home on a full-time basis.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, these extension workers can actually start to prepare your farm, start to plant your, whatever feeds you wanting. If you wanted to get into goat farming, livestock management, these folks can actually, prepare your land, get your fencing done, build your structures for you, actually with the help of a project manager from the same group.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, by the time you make it home, it's just turnkey ready.
Yeah.
You just have to be present to go select your animals, and then your farm is ready to go. So we're working with that group to actually make that a reality. If this is something you guys are interested in, you guys let us know, so that we can actually put more time and resources into that program. We'll let you guys know how that program is working, because we actually have a few people that are actually currently in the program right now. And we're gonna be testing it out for the next 60 to 90 days to see how it works. And then we'll start letting you guys know, hey, we have 5 managers ready to go. We have 5 to 10 herdsmen and women ready to go. And then we have 5 trained, AI specialists ready to be deployed under your management. You understand? So you guys let us know how you feel about that.
That is so true. So far, so good. That's what I should really say.
Yeah,
with
definitely.
The people that we are working with at the moment, because they've proved themselves. They're good
So
listeners.
far, yeah.
They're good people at the moment, but we shall give them some time to prove themselves even better.
Absolutely.
Then we shall share definitely.
We need to confirm
details.
it. Yeah.
We need to confirm, verify properly. Yes. Then someone is saying, Doreen is saying, a lot of people are going into farming for valid reasons. You can have a job and still farm.
That is true. Doreen is smart. That's a very fine take, Doreen. You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
And farming is not easy, guys. But then again, nothing worth having is ever easy.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, you invest, you commit, you're gonna get something back.
That is so true.
If you manage it properly and if you're serious about it, you know?
Yes, Joppy Pia is saying, do you get or can you qualify for any government or NGO money?
You know what? We haven't looked into that yet. But so far, everything we've been doing at VF has been self-funded, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and personal sacrifice on both sides here. But no, we're not currently working with any NGOs, and we're not really getting any government assistance. But we haven't also sought out that either, you know, because we're just trying to build something to have a proof of concept, and then when we have something that's working, then we can actually see what other options are out there, you know?
Yes,
yeah,
that's true. Lamel is saying farming is interesting, but many hate it because it's stressful for those who don't have the money to finance it. Please, what advice do you want to give?
Value addition. We mentioned that. You don't necessarily have to get into farming.
Yes.
We touched on the value addition, the supply chain itself.
Yeah.
You know, some people don't have the heart or passion to get into farming. But
true.
There's a lot of entry points in value addition. So some folks want to be a silent investor where they just want to invest, you know, 10,000 or 20,000, whatever it is, whatever it might take to actually build a processing facility. They might just want to get in at that level, and you can still be within the world of agriculture, right?
Yeah.
And still reap big.
True.
You understand? So that's just what it is.
Wow. There's so many comments. I don't know which one to pick because I'm just
See if we have any super chats. You can't just
Not
be.
yet.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
So-
let me see here. So someone is saying nothing better than farming. Every business you talked about anywhere in the world are all dead right now, except for something involving artificial intelligence.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, man. I didn't want to even bring this up. Even people who went to school that have their fancy degrees, there's automation now.
Yes.
You know, I think we talked about this a while ago. Because in another life, I worked as a real estate professional in New York City. And I remember at the time, you know, the people that we actually used to have envy towards were the lawyers. Because the real estate lawyers didn't do anything but sit there and sign and stamp paperwork. And they would get a massive paycheck, right? For their time.
Yeah.
And now in the state of Florida, including the state of Arizona,
Yes.
you don't need a real estate attorney to do a real estate closing. They've automated that process. And so that's another thing you have to contend with. You know, at some point, yes, don't get me wrong, there's automation in farming too, but that's like decades and decades and decades away from a machine completely replacing you as a farmer or you in the value addition line. So
Someone was asking about honey production.
Honey production is much needed.
They were wondering, I think, is it really profitable?
It's insanely profitable.
Yes.
And yes, it's an active business that is I would say the startup cost is a little bit higher in the beginning.
Yeah.
But once you have your hives in place and you have your management in place, it's the closest thing you can come to a passive active investment as you can come. Because literally, as long as you checking on your hive to make sure that you're not under any infestation and you're controlling whatever might be, you know, putting your flock or your hives in danger, it's just a matter of you showing up, you know, every couple of weeks to make sure everything's okay. And then you'll harvest every 6 months. And believe me, the harvest is old. If you do your job, when it comes to honey production here in Africa, the harvest is usually very plentiful.
That is so true.
And yeah, there's a very big market for that.
True.
Big market.
And someone is saying, do Ugandans grow almonds?
Almonds?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I haven't
starting.
seen that yet.
Mm.
But you know, since you guys have been here for over an hour, that means you're a real one. So I'm gonna share something with you guys that's gonna blow your mind.
Okay.
Guys, how many of you out there love pesto? You should put a 1 down. You should put a P in the chat. Or put a P in the comment, right? For those of you who love pesto.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, you guys know the key ingredient in pesto is what exactly? Pine nuts. Right? Pine nuts. Guys, here in Uganda, there's so many pine trees that are producing pine cones. And when those cones are actually mature, ready to be harvested, do you know what happens to them? Nothing. They just fall on the ground. The people here don't place any value on pine nuts.
Yes.
And you guys should go out there and Google how much to purchase, I don't know, 1 pound or 1 kg of pine nuts in the UK, maybe a pound of real pine nuts in the US, and see how much it costs to get that. In this country, this goes back to processing and value addition. There's so many pine nuts available here in this country.
True.
Literally, the kids are playing with the pine cones. You know, they're just all over the ground. They're all over the forest.
Yes.
There's nobody here to harvest anything. It's available, but nobody's doing anything with it. You didn't even know they actually ate the pines from pine.
No, I remember when you asked about it, and I was like, "Are you crazy?"
I know. I think you were offended at the time. What? You want me to eat the nuts from those cones?
No, I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
So think about it from this standpoint. For those of you who have a passion for dealing with pine nuts and want to go into pesto production, especially either pre-made pesto, because a lot of people actually like pre-made pesto. The most expensive ingredients in that pesto, you can come to Uganda and get it for pennies on the dollar. In fact, the penny is going to come from you having to actually pay for real labor.
True.
But the actual access to the pine nuts itself is predominantly free in Uganda. You're welcome. That's why you come to Value Farm here.
Yes.
Talk about ideas, you're welcome.
Yes, that's why the training center is coming up for us to train not only what we have, but also other ideas that you definitely have to invest in as well. Wow. Which question? I'm just trying to run through this. Okay, thanks for sharing your knowledge on the crown craft. It's encouraging.
You're welcome.
You're doing a great job, guys. Keep it up. Hey.
Thank you.
Yes. Christian, as an entrepreneur that has evolved into farming, where do you see agribusiness industry of Uganda? Do we need more agriculture curriculum? Of course, yes. Of course, we already have the agriculture curriculum already moving on here. Some schools, I give them credit, whereby they have even, gardens they have where they train their kids who are taking agriculture as a subject, or what should I call it, as a subject in school. But I need, maybe something should be done by the government to really put more emphasis on it, because this is where everything is going to. So for schools that are already doing it, bravo to them. But of course, there's still more emphasis that should be put to more schools to really make sure that they have places they can take their kids, maybe for internship as well, to train from, or even have space in their school that kids can be able to do more in agriculture. Yeah.
I agree.
That is true.
Yeah.
Then someone is saying here, I'm Eritrean, currently living in Canada.
Eritrean.
Yes.
My peoples.
I'm a big fan of you guys.
Thank you.
Can you kindly suggest me a good book, especially for goat farming? Thank you. May God bless you and your business. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. You should message us and we can definitely send you like a link.
A link to some of the books that
So if you go to We Value Farming 626, gmail.com. We can definitely send you a few links and make a few suggestions.
Someone is saying, do you use concentrate in your pig feed? Yes, we do.
Sometimes we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then someone recently saying it's like asking you're gonna to eat shrimp if you're not used to it. If you're not used to something, they shun it.
That's true.
That is very true.
But that still doesn't take away the fact that it has tremendous intrinsic value.
Exactly.
That just because the folks here have not yet awakened to the tremendous income potential of pesto, one of the key ingredients for pesto, which is pine nuts, doesn't make it less of a tremendous opportunity to get involved, especially at the ground level with zero competition. That's something else I wish we could do, but we already have our hands full with what we're actively doing right now. But it's wide open.
That is very, very true. Okay, let me see here. Hey, comments are still here. And Sarah is saying, hi Tina, I love your live shows. Thank you so much. That's why we make it a point to always come here sometimes. You know, once in a while we show up to share ideas. And of course, all this important information is good for everyone because we always preach. We are here to share. We are here to share our journey in farming.
Absolutely.
And we're not selfish people.
We are not selfish farmers. Selfish farmers are the worst.
Yes.
Lazy farmers are only worse than selfish farmers. Yeah.
Yes. And Sarah is saying, I don't do super chats, but other options, please treat yourselves afterwards.
Sure.
But thank you so much, Auntie Sarah. She sent us some time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, through World Meet, you know, all the things. She has given us champagne before.
Champagne. I don't drink alcohol, but that's nice.
But thank you so much for always supporting. You know, we really appreciate, even if you don't support financially, by just watching these videos, by just sharing the videos with your friends and family, that is an impact. That even makes us even more happier because you're sharing all this knowledge. You're not keeping everything to yourself. So that is even better for us as well because we are here openly sharing this with you guys. Yes. How many hours have we been here?
Almost hour and 32 minutes, I think. Yeah.
So we should be concluding. We don't want things to be so long. But we are here to, of course, answer your questions as well. Samson is saying, there is no modern animal breeding in my country. I want to set myself example. Okay, that is really good.
That's good. Yeah, you can be an example for
back
sure.
In his country. Where do you come from? Which country is that exactly? Please let us know, Samson. Yes, Vic is saying, I like pesto.
Pesto is great.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that green sauce from Cafeteria.
Ah, the one you
I love pesto.
The one you like.
I like pesto, yes.
Okay.
It's not just me, so it's a very light, you know.
Okay, someone is saying, what is your opinion on someone coming there to starting an electrical company?
That would be groundbreaking. Internet, electricity, geez, you name it, man. It's here for you. It's wide open.
Yes.
Yeah, but particularly processing. You know, look at JBL. Look at Conagra Foods back home. Wouldn't you want to be the Purdue of Africa? Like, seriously.
Yes.
It's open for you here. Whether you come to Uganda, Kenya, Cameroon, Burkina Faso, you name it, it's open. Guys,
Sure.
Look at an industry at home that you feel like, wow, this is insane. That might not actually be attainable for you at home. 626. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might not be attainable for you at home because, again, of the entry. To open a processing facility in the US, you need at least $4 to $5 million. You can do that in Uganda for about 50,000 or 60,000 if you're trying to do something world class.
Sure.
I just want you to think about that. You know, I know that's a lot of money, but 60,000 compared to $4 million in the US is very, 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 very different. And it's possible. Many of you might actually know what it's like to have 60K in the bank. A good number of you might. But think about how few of us will ever know what it's like to have $4 million that you can just take to go and invest in a business venture.
Business venture.
you know?
Yeah, let's wrap up the live stream, guys. We're almost here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So let's read the last comment here from Coffee saying, kudos to you guys. You're really a source of inspiration to Africans in livestock industry. Busily mobilizing resources to venture into goat farming in Ghana.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Concentrate on good breeds as
The
well.
best breeds, man. You know, and please, when you think about goats, don't just keep it goats. Think about goats and sheep.
And sheep as well.
Because if because let me tell you something. Sheep is that utility animal that you can have. While you're waiting for your goats to grow, the sheep grow much faster. They're definitely more resistant and more resilient than most exotic goat breeds. And there's a very big market for sheep production.
Yes.
And there's very few large-scale sheep producers, especially here in Uganda. It basically doesn't exist. And the truth of the matter is, like, the market for sheep is here.
It's here
It's
by the
available.
and most people think it's not there.
It's
Most people
there.
think like,
Yeah.
you know, who it's the sheep. Come on.
Just like there's a great number of folks here, and even here in Uganda, people in Kenya know duck farming is big business in Kenya. But most people here in Uganda, the idea of actually getting into production with ducks is laughable to them.
That's
But
true.
there's a very big market for duck production in this country because there's a lot of foreigners here.
True.
Not just duck, even geese production.
Geese production.
There's a healthy number of Dutch folks here, Canadians, French people here that actually like duck eggs and duck meat. You know, in many instances, they like geese as well, right? And there's very few people in this country. I can think of maybe 3 companies that actually have ducks on the on their farm as one of the main business core business part of, as one of the main core portion of what they do as farming as a farming organization. The majority of people don't even think that's a real option in farming
That is so true.
here in East Africa, but it's a very, very good option as well.
To be honest with you, I thought it wasn't a real business. You know, we used to rear ducks, you know,
Yeah.
in the backyard,
Yeah.
just for meat for family consumption, but I never ever thought
Yeah.
there's someone out there who is really doing, you know, duck production, who is really investing so much in so many ducks. Not until we went to some farm and I was in shock.
Give the people Tina, do this quick research for me because I don't know this off the top of my head, right? How much is 100,000 shillings in USD?
100,000, that is around,
$30?
let me do it here very fast, like 30,
But confirm it, please.
100.
100 USD to Ugandan shilling.
$100?
$100. No. 100,000 USD. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, to you, yeah.
That is like
$26, right?
$6.
So, guys, I want you to ask yourself this question. How many chickens you can grow at home right now that you can sell one chicken for 26 USD? I'm talking about here in Uganda right now. To get one pecking duck, it's 26 USD. To get the pair, you obviously double that.
True.
So you're looking at well over $50 for 2 ducks. Tell me what 2 normal chickens you can get in America, unless you're talking about the Blackfoot chicken, and that's a whole nother situation, but that's rare. I'm talking fairly common chicken, bird, here as far as a duck, that goes for north of $25. And there's a market for it right here in Uganda. And most farmers will kill themselves to start a regular poultry farm.
Poultry farm, yeah.
But yet ducks that are far more easier to care for, far more resilient, right? You can get 4 times the money for duck, right? Yet, most people here won't even consider it because they don't think a market exists.
That is so true.
So this comes with enlightening our fellow farmers out here.
Yeah, someone is even saying Muscovy ducks do very well, especially if there's grazing to supplement
Yeah,
their feed.
yeah.
That's why we let them.
That's the local ducks, yeah. Pecking ducks, Muscovy ducks, whatever
duck.
floats your boat.
Yeah.
But the ducks that go for the 26 USD is the pecking
The
duck
pecking
specifically.
ducks. Yeah.
The Muscovies might have a lower price point because they're more common, but whatever type of ducks you want to grow, there's still a market
There's
for it.
still a market for them.
Yeah.
Wow, guys, we appreciate all your comments. Yes, Doreen, thanks for being an inspiration. Thanks for sharing great information. We really appreciate that. Good evening. I'm looking for 3 breeds. Okay.
What breeds is that?
I don't know what she's talking about. Can you respond timely on WhatsApp?
Okay.
Okay, we shall check your WhatsApp as well. Sometimes if the message is not replied immediately, if you can call, better. Yeah. Because sometimes, messages can be overwhelming and maybe miss out. So if it's really very urgent, just call using WhatsApp. We can definitely respond to you as well. But really appreciate you guys so much. UG Connect, let me read this one last. Our land is so virgin, we need lots of investors to bring world standard technology in agricultural industry. Yes, that's what we've been preaching for more people to really come here with all their skills, with all what they've learned out there, to implement it here. But really appreciate you guys so much. It has been almost 2 hours here, answering your questions, sharing our ideas with you guys. I really appreciate you guys so much. And last words for anyone out there, especially people who want to start aspiring farmers.
There's no other way to do it but to start.
Start with what you have.
Like the thing is, guys, think about it. If you're standing in the block and you're about to race and the gun goes off and you're still standing in the block, you're not really participating in the race. You're just wasting your time.
You're wasting your time. That is true.
If you know that you've been a plumber for the past 20 years and you're not happy, and you have a little bit of money stashed away, and you might not want to get into farming per se, but there are things you can do that can actually free you of that career if it no longer makes you happy. Now, if you're happy being a plumber, then God bless you. You can be a plumber until the day that you retire.
That's true.
But for those of you that know that you're in the wrong career choice, and you have some cash, and you have the passion, you have the energy, what are you waiting for? Granted, nobody's here telling you guys that farming is easy. It's still work. It's gonna take work. But then again, Bill Gates had to work.
Yeah.
Elon had to work. Your favorite NBA, NFL players had to work extremely hard. Your famous gymnasts basically had no childhood. These guys have been working 7 days a week, going to the gym since the age of 4 to get to that elite level. Well, when it's a matter of you choosing to be elite in the game of life. Some of you might be okay with just living and getting by and just surviving. But some of us aspire to thrive. And so if your passion is in agriculture, if you've never considered it before, maybe you should look into it. The options are here, the opportunities are here for you, and it's right for the taking. Now, the one thing I don't want to happen, don't be that person to wait 3 years from now to want to start and then be the one complaining that it costs too much money to get into agriculture. Because we're telling you guys now, is the perfect time to start. The world need more farmers, particularly on the continent. There's no more noble cause apart from becoming a priest or doctor or surgeon, than being a farmer. I would still rate farming right up there with those professions,
Sure.
And so that's all I can say. Don't wait till it's too late, because you don't ever want to know what it's like to live with regret.
True.
Because regret is a beast you do not want to have to tangle with if you don't have to. That's all I have.
Wow, thank you so much. Someone here, by the way, needs our input as well. Thanks, guys. I love your inspiration. Do you actually import the boa?
Actually, yes, we do. In fact, we actually have another shipment coming in the beginning of September, we have some more boas in Kalahari. I would say boas and savannas coming.
Yeah.
And there's still room in the crate.
Yes.
So if you guys are serious about buying, for those of you that are watching live, because if you see this 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, there's a good chance that crate will have already been filled, and those goats will be here in Uganda, somewhere on the east coast of Africa. But no, you can still place your orders if you're interested in that. You can order savannas, you can order your Doppler sheeps, you can order your meat master sheeps, you can order, there's a bunch of stuff you can order. Anything exotic in terms of goats, small ruminants, you can order.
Yeah.
And we can actually help get it here, especially if you want to pick it up here in Uganda.
Yeah, and especially people within East Africa,
it's easy.
Much easier for us.
If you're on the West Coast, we suggest you reach out to our friend Fred from Farming in Africa.
Yes.
But yes, Fred does not import our goats, we import our goats.
We import our own goats.
On this side, yeah.
Yeah, but he's also...
He's the expert on that side, yeah.
Yes, who can really help people in West Africa. So people have really reached out and they want goats from us, and they're in Ghana, they're in Nigeria, Guinea. Please contact him. Of course, I've given you their contact as well in case you reach out. But still, doesn't make sense for you to order goats from Uganda and transport them to West Africa. It's really costly.
It's too costly, yeah.
Yeah, but people within East Africa, in case you're really very interested in the pure blood, pure breeds.
Pure, 100% real.
100%.
And on that note, guys, let me give you a last jewel here when it comes to goats. I don't want to step on any toes, but I have to keep saying this. There's a lot of folks in this country, I'm not just saying in this country, but there are a lot of people out here that are claiming to have pure goats to sell you.
Yes.
With no pedigree paperwork, with no proof of that actual breed getting to the pure standard. And they're just defrauding people. I'm sorry. You're not gonna get any pure breeds unless you pay pure breed pricing. Okay?
Yes.
So if somebody's telling you they can sell you a pure goat for breeding standard level genetics, it is not possible for you to spend less than $925 to $1,000 to get a pure goat.
Yes.
Not yet anyway. At some point when we have those goats in abundance here on the ground, then it'll become feasible for us as the breeders that are actually breeding these goats to get to the point where we can sell it at a lower price, because we're not going to have to import them from South Africa anymore. We're going to have them here in Uganda. But for the time being, if you are importing or if you're purchasing a pure goat, those are the real prices. So for people you see on YouTube claiming they can sell you a pure goat for $500 or $400, just know that you're getting a 50-50 or 75% goat. Because let me tell you guys this, I have heard from many, many, many farmers that have gotten scammed by people selling goats from YouTube.
Yes.
That have gotten scammed because those people are sending out sick animals. That they're sending out animals that they know that have aborted many, 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 many times before. That they know the genetics are inferior. And yet they want to sell you these goats at the highest possible price.
True.
So don't fall for the scam. You don't have to order through us. You can always just reach out to whomever you feel comfortable with. But please don't fall for that scam. There are a lot of people that we hear from all the time that they spend their hard-earned cash and the goats that they thought they were buying turn out to be 100% fake and sickly and have come onto their farm and have basically wiped out their flock. I'm extremely passionate about this because it then gives people who are trying to do this honestly a horrible name. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. I'm sure that person or that group, they will be exposed by when the time comes. You know, we're not troublemakers. We're not trying to start any drama. But you scam enough people, your name will eventually come to light. So if you're one of those folks who are just not quite sure where to go or what to do, we would strongly urge you not to fall for that trap. You need to see your goats. You need to get your goats tested, and don't be sending anybody any money before you can actually test and they can actually show you proof that what they're selling you for that much money is really what it is. That's all I have to say, because I might get myself in trouble here.
But that is the truth.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah, being honest with people out there, because there are so many people in the market. There are so many people who are really.
I hear it all the time. I have text messages, phone calls. I had a grown man crying on the phone the other day. That literally spent, I think he spent like 10,000 USD buying goats from someone from YouTube.
And goats are dying and
aborting every other day, dying every other day. And the moment that person get your money, there's no refund.
There's no refund, that is the thing.
So don't fall for that scam. Do not fall for that scam. That's all I can tell you guys.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, let me stop there.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for your feedback as well. People are saying that someone is saying next time, please improve your lighting and volume. I can hardly hear what the lady is saying sometimes. We shall work on that. Thank you for the positive feedback. That's why we're here.
That's fine.
That's okay. We shall improve next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
We don't have a full production crew here, guys. We're doing the best we can with the tech that we have.
What we have at the moment.
But yes, we definitely will try to improve on the lighting. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
We shall get a ring light. That's what we have.
Yeah, you get a ring light.
That's what I will get next time. But thank you guys so much. Kenneth, you really inspire me, and I think it's time for me as well to invest into goat farming. Thank you. Welcome to the goat farming family as well. And someone is saying I missed the beginning, however I'll catch up. I'm from Trinidad in the Caribbean.
Trinidad, let me tell you, Trinidad also has some amazing food. It's not just Trinidad, it's Trinidad and Tobago.
Hey.
Let me tell you, right now, like February's carnival in Trinidad is a treat. But the food, the people, amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Better than the Haitians.
I don't know, man. Caribbean food is great.
It's great.
But Trinidadian food is also tremendous. Trinidadian roti, chicken roti, shrimp roti, that rice, the pumpkin rice. Come on, man. I grew up in New York City. These are my people. I grew up around everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Hope you come to Uganda one time. You're most welcome. We shall host you at Value Farm.
Tina's gonna host you.
Yes.
She'll be your personal tour guide.
Yes, I'm going to host you. The cottages are getting ready. You come and sleep at the farm.
Enjoy.
Yes. But really appreciate you guys so much. Something that we really forgot in the beginning of this live stream is to thank everyone who has subscribed to the
100%.
channel. We at 98K already.
Can you believe that? The channel is growing, and we are eternally grateful for those of you that have been supporting us from the very beginning.
More than grateful, guys. Like you guys have been recommending. Okay, we are back. I know the percentage of people who have subscribed, who watch and subscribed is quite lower at the moment because it's at 22%. Then 70% who watch our videos are not yet subscribed. I don't know why, but guys, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free of charge. Subscribe so that we hit the milestone as soon as possible. But we really appreciate you guys so much.
Road to 100 is here.
The road to 100K.
We're getting close. Yeah.
We get our silver button. Here we celebrate with you guys because this is all our effort. You and us, of course, because you watching these videos and sharing and also learning and implementing in your farms, it's something that is family. Because this is family, we are sharing all these things together.
Absolutely.
Yes. But
we rise together.
Yes. What is that good saying of yours? Make one.
Each one teach one, indeed.
Yeah. Yes, that one. that is really what we are really striving to do at Value Farm. And of course, the farm is going to be open very soon for those who have been really asking when we are opening for farm visits. I know most of you really want to come to see what we are doing at the farm, or maybe train or get some skills at the farm. Unfortunately, it's not yet open, but we shall keep you posted on that so that you can come and learn something from us and also share ideas with us as well at the farm.
Definitely.
Yes, but we appreciate you guys so much. Follow us on our social media platforms as well. Instagram is Value Farm UG. Then Facebook is Value Farm. Yes, we also have TikTok, Value Farm UG as well. We really appreciate all our followers who have been there, who like the content, who like the behind the scenes, the short things that we put there. You guys are amazing. And of course, everyone who contributes through commenting on our channel, commenting the positivity, how they're inspired. Bravo to you guys and kudos to you guys all. We really appreciate you guys so much. But till next time, bye. Bye, guys.